Hi everybody. During the months of March and April, we are highlighting the work of Rios to Rivers in our community effort to showcase organizations who are working towards social justice, environmental action, and more inclusive public lands.
Rios to Rivers inspires the protection of rivers worldwide by investing in underserved and indigenous youth who are intimately connected to their local waters and support them in their development as the next generation of environmental stewards.
Founded in 2012, Rios to Rivers programs have connected 234 underserved and indigenous students from 20 endangered river basins in 7 countries. The programs have included students and community leaders from 21 indigenous nations.
Rios to Rivers envisions a world in which youth who are intimately connected to their local waters and tribal communities are equipped to become the next generation of passionate leaders for healthy rivers and communities.
Make monthly charitable giving a trend in your life in 2024 and help to support Rios to Rivers this March and April. Visit the link in our Instagram bio for more information. Okay, so post-hiking trip or post-long day of hiking, what does your idea of pampered care look like for yourself?
There is a really lovely spa not too far from me. It's a Korean spa, and I will enjoy that very much. And they do have calf massages, and I love that. It's basically just like a foot massage, but it's all the way up to the knee.
Yeah.
I love that because I feel like I'm screaming the whole time while they are massaging because it's like, I feel like my calves are always really tight by the end of a hiking trip like that.
Well, girl, you're making us money here on onlycalves.com. So yeah.
Right.
I mean, where the calf content is real.
That's right. The calf content. Always the calf
Always
content.
calf content.
And what about you? What is your self-care, pampered care of choice?
I feel like I've learned to lean into pampered care a little bit more, and you taught me that.
Well, I hope so.
Because I know you.
That's right.
It's definitely like try to get a massage at some point, like post long trip. But reflexology is where it's at. That's just basically a foot massage, but it's like foot ankles. And I feel like after we did our very long trip, our 2021 trip, our 5-week trip, that was the thing that I think got me through at the end, was allowing my feet to have a little bit of rest and relaxation, because that's all we were doing. We trucked like something over like 200 miles in our boots. So yeah. So that's what it's looking like for me these days, is like massage.
And what about pampered care at home? What do you do for yourself?
What do I do for myself at home? Scream. It's just a lot of screaming. I'm bad at it. I do have some, like, I did bite the bullet this year and buy a back wheel, like basically a back massager wheel, which has been really great.
That's great.
And I also have some therapy balls, which are great, that I do use on my feet, and I do use them for other parts of my body when it's sore.
It makes sense. I get it.
The smiles.
I get it.
I do. Yeah, that's where it's at.
And
I know you're like Lady Bath Time.
I do love a bath.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially with like Epsom salts and, like bubbles and all the nine and all
candles.
the smells and the candle and all of the things. I love all of it.
You do. You're like a romance novel come to life.
That's right. I find it hard to read in a bath. I know some people love to read in a bath, but I'm like, the book is going to get wet. I don't.
Yeah. Gotta laminate those pages.
Right. Laminated book pages.
Looking for adventure, I want to follow on the trail, or get a little lost and let the wind fill my sails. Get up when the stars still fill the sky, don't wake the sun. There's so much to be done, and the day has just begun. Go where the postcards are real, you can feel, you can open your eyes and open your heart when you gaze at the national park.
Follow you there.
At the national park. At the national park. Follow you, I'll follow you there.
We would like to acknowledge that while visiting the land also known as Hot Springs National Park, that we are on the traditional and stolen land of the Osage, Quapaw, and Caddo people.
Okay, so in the previous episode, you heard all about the Hot Springs Mountain Trails,
Right.
which are on the east side of Hot Springs National Park, which is the second smallest national park in the whole system of the Big 63.
Yeah.
The smallest being the previous park we were in on this season, Gateway Arch National Park. Hot Springs is sort of like taking a little town and calling it a national park.
It's true.
The springs, or why it was designated, the little town was built up and around the bathhouses that had come up. And we spent the first day hiking on the east side, and now we're here on our second day.
It's true. And on our second day, we were only spending 2 here. We had originally planned to hike a very, very long trail, which was called the Sunset Trail, which circles the park and is about 10 miles in length. It's a loop trail. It was something that we had dog-eared because we were like, when we go to parks, typically, we go to hike, and we were kind of jazzed to do this long trail. Yeah. It's a trail that goes to really remote sections of the park, and the terrain can be very rough.
There's also a possibility of running into cougars or mountain lions.
Yep. Yeah, so that wasn't something that was the most thrilling to us. When we had gone to bed the night prior, after our first day in Hot Springs and after doing Little Rock and exploring parts of Little Rock, I checked in with my ex, the weather, and there was what we saw to be a large possibility for rain on this day. Like a soaking sort of present all day situational rain.
And it was sort of changing when it was going to be. Like, is it going to be in the morning? Is it going to be in the afternoon? Like, it just all sort of whatever. Ideally, our plan was to do this big long loop.
Yeah.
And then to sort of end our time by going to the Buckstaff Bathhouse.
Yeah.
We had researched it ahead of time, and they told us, there's like a window in the morning and a window in the afternoon. You have to, there's no reservations. You line up physically in person. That's it. And that's the only way to get in. Yeah. And so we were like, well, we could do the afternoon window after we do this long hike.
We'd feel really good. After, to just like be able to like get in the baths, get like, nice and relaxed, and then that would sort of be our day. Because Hot Springs is basically an hour from Little Rock, we needed to get up early to be able to arrive, and in order to get hiking so that we could be back for the 1 p.m. time slot. I'm pretty sure it was when that second time slot started. Our plan was to arrive at 7 to 7:30 so we could get on the trails early, because we figured, how fast we'd been hiking and kind of what our mileage would be like when we would most likely get back. And it was going to be kind of by the skin of our teeth, I think, in order to make it.
Because they had an 8 a.m. opening and a 1 p.m. opening.
Yeah. Upon waking very early, we basically saw that the whole day was going to be a washout, and we had some decisions to make. And this was like a lot of heavy deliberation for very early in the morning.
It was. Because we were like, well, it's raining.
Right.
Do we want to hike in the rain?
Right.
Do we not want to hike in the rain? We weren't thrilled about it.
Right.
We were like, well,
we've done it before. It's fine.
Why don't we switch our plan and just do the spa first?
Because it was supposed to be heavier rain in the morning and then lighter in the afternoon.
And then we'll go do the long loop trail.
Which you didn't love. There was a little bit of tantruming happening.
Like, I don't know that I would call it tantruming.
You threw a throw pillow across the room. You
certainly
fell onto the couch.
It wasn't as Oscar worthy as your performance prior to leaving. Please go listen to our previous episode to hear all about that.
But I didn't want to. I wanted to hike first and then luxuriate.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you this. Like, once I go into spa mode, it's like I'm going to stay in spa mode the rest of the day.
I'm not really in spa shopping mode.
So
I'm in work mode.
That's right.
Right. That's a 30 Rock reference.
That's right.
We decided that ultimately, yes, we had hiked the day prior, and the baths are an important part of the reason the park is there. We really wanted to experience them. We didn't really want to get soaked through hiking all day in very arduous sort of terrain. We ultimately decided that we were going to do some luxuriating in the morning. That's the word of this episode, by the way. We might hike a little in the afternoon because there were some smaller trails that we could also do that were still around the main drag.
That's right. We got in the car, we drove back to Hot Springs, and we parked in the free parking garage. We jumped in line across the street at Buckstaff Bathhouse, which is the only operational bathhouse on Bathhouse Row, meaning like there's a lot of buildings that were once bathhouses.
Operational bathhouses.
Buckstaff is the only one that is still a bathhouse. The rest of them have been either there's nothing happening in them or something else entirely is happening in them now.
From the NPS, quote, the Buckstaff Bathhouse, named for controlling shareholders George and Milo Buckstaff, replaced the former Ramelsburg Bathhouse, a brick Victorian structure. The Ramelsburg replaced the A.B. Gaines Bathhouse destroyed in the 1878 fire, but evidently there was a brick bathhouse on the site in the late 1850s as well. Designed by Frank W. Gibb and Company architects, the Buckstaff cost $125,000 to build and contains 27,000 square feet on 3 main floors. Because it has been in continuous operation since it opened on February 1st, 1912, it is one of the best preserved of all the bathhouses on Bathhouse Row. However, it has undergone many changes over the years. Originally, it had a large hydrotherapeutic department, which only it, the Fordyce, and the Imperial offered. End quote.
So we get in line. There were a few people in line, but we were like, it looks pretty good for us.
From the steps, there's like a sidewalk that basically goes to the main sidewalk of the street. And we were on the sidewalk path of the Buckstaff. Like we weren't that far in line. We were a little past the stairs.
Right.
Yeah.
So we had hope. So we waited in line. Not too bad.
No.
It was early morning. There were lots of people. And then we finally got to the counter and chose to get the traditional spa package, which included all of the bathhouse features plus the massage, which was a part of the package deal.
Right. You could have just done the traditional bath without the massage, though.
You could have.
But we're like, you know what?
We're doing it.
We're luxuriating.
We're luxuriating. We're in luxuriation mode. But because of that, that would mean that I would have to wait about an hour and 20 minutes to get a massage. And then Mike would have to wait about
2 hours.
2 hours,
Yeah.
because each massage was 40 minutes. So right after me, you went in.
Yeah.
But
there was only one masseuse on that day.
correct. That's
Yeah.
right. That's why it was taking a while. Also, we were the last two they let in. As in, everybody behind us in line did not get to at least get a massage
Right.
as part
They
of
could
their
do the
package.
bath experience.
They
but
could do
not
the bath
massage.
experience.
Yeah.
Correct.
The timeline, though, was not like we had to wait an hour and 20 and 2 hours to go through the bath experience. That was inclusive of our time. We were able to kind of like go right through the bathhouse experience. That 2-hour window was built into my time.
That's
through,
right.
And same
That's
thing
right.
for yours. So
Yes.
once moving through the baths, you would go to a holding room until it was your time to be massaged.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the second floor was the femme folks bath experience, and the first floor was the mask folks bath experience. They were using men's and ladies language there.
Sure. Because of patriarchy.
Because of patriarchy. So we go into the locker room, which was just off to the left. They showed us where the changing booths were. We each had lockers. There were chairs as well that we could sit in. So we got into our robes.
I think we disrobed first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Why don't you slowly?
We disrobed.
There you go. There you go. Mike has said it the way that he wanted to say it. Right. We did that.
And then we re-robed.
Yes. Was it robes or was it just towels? I think
It was
just
a towel.
towels.
And that towel was not,
It wasn't-
not big. That
No.
towel was like,
No.
girl, you're letting it all hang out. You better get used to it.
Get used to it.
Yeah,
Yeah. This
yeah.
was definitely like a
You better be
like
okay
a
with
be okay
being-
with public nudity
Yeah,
kind of
uh-huh.
circumstance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And with that, let's take a break. Hey everybody, we are actively planning our hiking for this year, and so you know what that means. Our moon travel guides are out and about, we're marking them up, and we're writing in all of our notes. We sincerely love them, and we use moon travel guides all the time.
Moon is our favorite travel guidebook publisher because their authors are real people who live in and know the areas they're writing about like the back of their hand.
And we can trust them. From hikes to campsites to city sites to restaurants, Moon Travel has you covered.
So ready to cross something off your travel bucket list in 2024?
Have a lot of great ideas for trips, but don't know how to get started or keep your itinerary organized?
Wherever your wanderings might take you or inspire you to go, Moon Travel has you covered.
Moon Travel is the travel guidebook publisher for ethical travel.
Don't spend months trying to craft the perfect getaway when you can do it all with Moon.
Whether you're headed out abroad, planning to take on the open road, or want to wander the trails of a national park, make sure to pack a Moon Travel Guide with you.
And through the end of 2024, our listeners can exclusively get 20% off any Moon Travel Guide when you go to moon.com. Use the code GAZE24 at checkout.
That's right. That is moon.com and use code GAZE24. And that's GAZE24 for 20% off any Moon Travel Guide in Moon's entire library at moon.com. And that is exclusively for Gaze listeners. Okay, we're playing Pentagram. And who are we summoning today?
I feel like it should be Paul Lind.
Great. Let's do it. Let's do it. For those of you who don't know who Paul Lind is, that's like
Uncle
like
Albert.
queer history in the textbooks.
Yeah.
Is who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So Paul Lind.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like we have to put a tic-tac-toe square in there because of his work on Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
Because, good Lord, he was so iconic.
He was funny. I can't believe how funny he was.
How funny he was on Hollywood Squares. Your Paul Lind is better than mine. So, okay, a tic-tac-toe square. What
We
else
come
are
to this place for magic, darling.
I need you to do that whole thing.
They shortened that ad, you know.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they truncated it. Sacrilege.
It is a sacrilege.
That's like
everybody
if they
knew
did it during
every
Pride
line
Month,
of that.
Sacrilege.
Sacrilege.
All right, so yeah, Hollywood Square for Paul.
No, a tic-tac-toe
Oh,
board.
a tic-tac-toe. Yeah, I think we need... I'm trying to think of like... maybe the Bewitched box set. I'm trying to think of like an iconic Bewitched item.
Or like, did she ever have a broomstick? We never saw
just
her
like
on
just in the credits at the beginning.
Right? Yeah.
Same thing. She was like a cat in the beginning.
Right.
Do we have a prosthetic nose that wiggles?
I think that's what it is.
Okay. It's like
so
a robotic wiggling nose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like we need
Steve Carell.
Well,
because
something
he played him.
iconically, like what can represent Steve Carell?
I think it would be like World's Best Boss mug.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Because Steve Carell played him beautifully.
He did a beautiful job playing Paul Lind.
He honored Paul Lind in such a magical way in that Bewitched movie.
Such a magical way.
You got it. You got where I was
Winky
going.
wink. I mean, that's a great film too. Come at
It
me
is.
in the
It
comments,
is.
everybody.
I talk about a big swing for the fences they took with that film.
Yeah.
And like that was a good swing.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
appreciated it.
Absolutely.
In the same vein of like Brady Bunch movies.
Oh,
swing,
yeah.
Which
Campy.
is iconic.
And
Iconic
campy.
Brady Bunch
Campy,
movie
camp,
and
camp.
campy. Well, we have to put in something from Bye Bye Birdie because he's so
That's
known
right.
for Bye Bye Birdie.
I feel like a Conrad Birdie poster would be fine.
Perfect.
Like, you know,
Yeah. Okay. So we've got
Yeah,
four
four.
items. We just need one more.
I feel like he was always drinking on Bewitched, and maybe I'm wrong about that. That feels like
I
he
don't
always had
know.
like a martini in hand.
I feel like he probably did in
Yeah.
general. Let's put a martini glass in
There we
there.
go.
He's an elevated. and we have Paul Lind. He's appeared. It is time to talk about the bathhouse experience. All right, so let's talk about...
Let's put a disclaimer on that. Perhaps that's not how we start this part of the episode.
It's time to talk about
That's like
going to...
literature you give your child to be like, don't do this.
going to the Buckstaff Bathhouse in Hot Springs National Park. That's the bathhouse experience we're talking about today, everybody. So
Let's talk about being nude in a national park.
Let's do it.
Hello.
Let's talk about it. I mean,
we have had, we've had experiences before.
that sounds like we've... I think we're leading the audience to believe something that is not true of the two of
But
us.
for the comedy.
As friends, we don't have an issue with nudity when
Right.
it comes to the two of us. We've had many circumstances in which nudity has occurred.
Right.
For example, Orvis Spa.
Right.
I'm really trying to avoid the word experience.
Yeah, it's not great.
Here. Orvis over in
Colorado
near
Black Canyon of the Gunnison.
There you go.
Which is a wonderful, incredible experience.
Amazing
Hopefully
experience.
that was pre-pandemic, so I'm hoping it's still in existence because it is definitely well worth it.
Oh yeah, it is still very much open
Great.
for business.
This was sort of like the second experience where we were going to maybe experience each other in the buff. But it's like...
That's not true because we'd been to the nude beach a number
Oh,
of
that's
times.
true. Okay.
Yeah, that
Sandy
too.
Hook.
Sandy Hook, also
a national park. Look at
Yeah.
that.
So again, not something you and I are uncomfortable with.
No.
Let's just talk about the 6 things that we were going to experience here at the Buckstaff.
This was an involved experience.
Oh, without
for
a
a spa.
doubt. There was the thermal whirlpool.
Mm-hmm.
There was the sitz bath. There was the steam box. There was the wrap and compress, the napping room, and the massage.
Yeah. If you don't do the massage and part of the package, you're only doing 4 things.
Great.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about the experience we had right off the bat. You and I started...
You walk out of the locker room basically into a giant space.
Yeah, into a big room with
Yeah.
a lot of different things in it,
Yeah.
right? A lot of different like stations and a lot of different tubs and a lot of
Yeah.
different things going on. We were separated because this was an individual experience.
Yes.
So we would experience all of these things, but not necessarily in the same order.
No.
So-
not together either.
Not together either. So what did you do first? I'm curious.
I did the whirlpool bath first. The thermal
Really?
whirlpool. Yeah. Did you do the sitz bath first?
I did the sitz bath
Oh,
first.
yeah.
I thought that was, to me, it felt like the sitz bath was a
Precursor.
precursor to everything.
okay.
Because let's describe the sitz bath. You're
Well-
basically sitting down and squatting into like what feels
not-
like a seat. Well, you're not
You're
squatting.
you're
You're
seated.
You're sitting, but you're like in a basin, and there's
Yeah.
there's water coming in underneath you.
Yeah.
But it's basically like
and at your low back.
right. To me, it felt like the purpose was to sort of like either get sort of your
To loosen your lower back muscles.
maybe to loosen your lower back muscles, definitely get like circulation flowing down there.
It's also like a sitz bath is a traditional cure for hemorrhoids.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Like it's a traditional, like that's something that would be helpful.
I
Sitting
see.
in warm water.
So you're basically just sitting in warm water. the
yeah,
whole
with
time.
like flowing water on you.
Yeah.
And the water, you could control the heat of the water there. There was
And
like a nozzle.
It's not like a bidet. You're not
No,
like sitting
no.
in a constant bidet situation.
No.
But, you know,
Constance bidet. Add her to the list.
I know, add her to the list. She might have to show up later.
She might be a guest star.
So that was where I was led to first.
Okay.
And it was just like, just sit here, enjoy this. And I think I sat there, I mean, for 15 or 20 minutes just in the sitz bath. And then
Did you have a very talkative attendant who was with you the whole time, or did you get left?
I got left.
Oh.
I got left.
See, I had a
got left.
very talkative attendant who was with me when I was in
okay.
the sitz bath. And the sitz bath was very much so just like,
You're all
hanging
out,
out.
very exposed.
You're very exposed. You were not in like a stall situation. It was
No.
just like you're sitting on this water bath basin with everything just hanging
And
loose.
again, this is back to like, you just got to be cool with public
Being
nudity.
nude, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I know that's not some people's bag of chips.
No.
But we don't mind, so it was fine for
Yep.
us.
Yep. So for me, I did the thermal whirlpool first, which was interesting because that was like, as soon as we went in, I think you went straight ahead and I took a left. The attendant took me to the left and led me into like a kind of a giant stall space that had this marble tub in it that filled with the water from the thermal spring. You could control the heat, and there was like a mechanism that also was like creating like a jet force essentially.
Right.
It did feel very like aged, but obviously it's used all the time. This had like a curtain. I was separated from everybody here. This felt more private. So for me to then be like, okay, now like, and again, I'm not shy about it, but it was definitely like, oh, you have a very private experience. And then it's like, okay, you're just sitting in this basin with everything just your giblets are out for everybody to see. It was kind of like a weird transition point from me from whirlpool to sitz bath.
Sure.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the whirlpool,
It
which
was
I
great.
feel like is kind of the biggest major kind of submersion experience the whole time.
Yeah.
Because you're completely submerged in all of the like hot springs water that is like cycling through.
Yeah, it felt wonderful.
Amazing. It felt
was great.
amazing.
It
It
was
was
great.
not like super hot,
No.
but it was warm, and it was like the whirling of the pool was constantly going. It was
The
great.
whirling of the pool.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is the thing that people are like really shown up for.
Yeah.
From here, I was taken to wrap and cold compress.
Oh, so I went to the steam bath next.
You
or
mean the steam box.
So
Okay.
that's interesting. We did really have opposite
We
experiences.
did.
Yeah.
Okay. So the wrap and cold compress, literally, like the attendant took me like to this, like a massage table or sort of like some kind of, you know, like
It's kind of like a lounger chair.
a bit of a lounger
Yeah.
chair, wrapped me in an entire like sheet. I laid back, and then there was a cold compress put over my eyes, and oh my God, I was in heaven. This was great.
Yeah.
I loved this.
Yeah, that was really nice. I forgot that it was a sheet because I felt like they wrapped us in. Maybe I'm just remembering from other massages I've had. Like at the end, I feel like I usually have like a warm towel put on my back.
Yeah.
But it
I
was
think
just
there was that too.
Yeah, it was the sheet, but then I think they put the warm towels over you, like wrapped you in the sheet. I also felt like because when we left the locker room, our keys for our lockers were around our neck. And I also felt like with the white sheets that it was very much so like ancient Roman toga party in here.
It felt like that. Yeah.
I went to the steam box, which was like in the very opposite corner. It felt like a medieval torture chamber because it's just like these two metal doors that
Or
open
let's
up.
rephrase. It looks like a medieval torture
Sure, sorry,
chamber.
didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Um,
It felt very nice.
It felt really great. These two metal doors that swing open that are kind of like angled. They're like faceted, I guess I would say. There's like a slope from your neck down to your chest, and then it goes like kind of vertical to the floor. And so the doors open. There's a spot for your neck to sit in that the attendant put like a towel around my neck so that like when the doors closed, they wouldn't burn. It wouldn't burn your neck. But this felt great. He's like, you're not feeling faint at all, right? Because it felt like you were basically in a sauna.
Yeah.
Just like your
But not
face
your
wasn't.
head. Yeah, your
it was
head
just
was
your
not in the
body was
sauna.
being like steamed essentially.
Right.
Like broccoli.
Right.
But that was great too. Like I felt like that was like a really lovely, nice experience. And so to be wrapped afterwards felt like it was the perfect ender to everything.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. For me, where I went after the wrap and cold compress was to the steam box.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, they brought me to the napping room,
The napping room.
which is where we waited for the masseur to let us know when they were ready for each one of us.
We couldn't really talk here.
Couldn't talk. I mean, it's a napping room, so it was very comfortable. There were lots of loungy chairs, and it was basically like just lay back and enjoy and just sit in the silence. And
Yeah.
I loved that. Loved it very much.
I was a little stir crazy.
Right. You
It's
were.
hard for me to turn my brain off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The masseur came out and then brought me in first, and
Right.
then you went in after me.
Right.
But he brought me in first. His name was David. For me, it was like we had some casual, nice conversation. It was a pretty good massage, very standard massage, 40 minutes. And yeah, it was great. You actually had quite a lot of conversation.
I
with him.
did. Because I talked to him about Reiki and energy healing, and he talked to me a lot about, he was like very into like energy work and like psychic energy work, and he talked a lot about the healing quality of the water. And so yeah, we had a very long, very thorough conversation. But yeah, it was great. And then at the end, he was like, I'm so sorry that it took so long for me to get to you today. We only have one masseuse because the other masseuse is a veteran. And I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, we were going to actually come later to the later time slot. And he's like, oh, you wouldn't have been able to today because it's Veterans Day and we are closed at noon. And I was like, oh, all right. And so when we rejoined each other post our time in the baths and the massage, I shared that information with you. And it was like, well, sometimes things just work out how they're supposed to.
And with that, let's take our second break. Hey everybody, we are actively planning our hiking for this year, and so you know what that means. Our moon travel guides are out and about, we're marking them up, and we're writing in all of our notes. We sincerely love them, and we use moon travel guides all the time.
Moon is our favorite travel guidebook publisher because their authors are real people who live in and know the areas they're writing about like the back of their hand.
And we can trust them. From hikes to campsites to city sites to restaurants, Moon Travel has you covered.
So ready to cross something off your travel bucket list in 2024?
Have a lot of great ideas for trips, but don't know how to get started or keep your itinerary organized?
Wherever your wanderings might take you or inspire you to go, Moon Travel has you covered.
Moon Travel is the travel guidebook publisher for ethical travel.
Don't spend months trying to craft the perfect getaway when you can do it all with Moon.
Whether you're headed out abroad, planning to take on the open road, or want to wander the trails of a national park, make sure to pack a Moon Travel Guide with you.
And through the end of 2024, our listeners can exclusively get 20% off any Moon Travel Guide when you go to moon.com. Use the code GAZE24 at checkout.
That's right. That is moon.com and use code GAZE24. And that's GAZE24 for 20% off any Moon Travel Guide in Moon's entire library at moon.com. And that is exclusively for Gaze listeners. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage
Pat Dry and Constance Bidet.
Pat Dry and Constance Bidet. See, I feel a little bit like Pat Dry and Constance Bidet look and are dressed a little bit like Myrtle Snow and Leslie Jordan from Coven. Mm-hmm. Like, I just feel like that's their kind of...
That's their aesthetic.
That's their aesthetic.
That feels about like Miss Robichaud's Academy for Exceptional Young Girls does feel like Bathhouse, like aesthetic.
Yeah, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so.
So yeah, that feels right. Mm-hmm.
It is. Okay, so Pat Dry. Mm-hmm. I feel like Pat Dry is an androgynous member of drag royalty.
Okay.
She continues to push the androgyny. Mm-hmm. I'm into that.
Okay.
And then Constance Bidet is like
she's a wet queen. I feel like she always looks like she's drenched.
Oh, I
That's
see.
Part of
so
her
she's
shtick.
Always doing like wet hair looks.
Mm-hmm. Wet hair looks.
That.
She's sponsored by Wet Seal.
That's where she gets her clothes.
That's where she
her
gets
drag clothes. No,
Wet Seal.
if she's looking like Myrtle Snow, she's not getting her clothes at Wet Seal.
No. She's going to estate sales.
No, she's correct.
Yeah.
She's getting it from the real dead.
Yeah.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Real dead.
The real dead.
Yeah. Okay. So what do they sing?
I mean, I feel like they are weird and witchy and sometimes spooky. And they probably do like really sort of offbeat spoken word lip syncs.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. You don't think they just draw from the catalog of Stevie Nicks?
I feel like so many of them draw from the catalog of Stevie Nicks. And I want to just...
You want to lop that off?
I want to just add something specific to them.
Some
I feel like it's
variety.
easy to go for Stevie Nicks. And I'm sure like in the right context they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel like Pat Dry and Constance Bidet are... no, I feel like they're your aunt and her roommate.
Oh.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who I feel like they are. They have like probably like really elevated mullet styled hair.
They're living in their mullet frenzy right now.
Correct.
Great. I think their merch is little spritzer bottles and towels, monogram towels.
Love it. See, I love that. One is about dryness.
Yeah.
One is about wetness.
I know. It's like the heat miser and cold miser of our drag kind.
And there we go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage
Pat Dry and Constance Bidet.
So after we finished up at the Buckstaff Bathhouse, we wanted to explore some more Bathhouse Row. So we went to the Visitor Center, which used to be the Fordyce baths.
From NPS, quote, the Fordyce opened March 1st, 1915, designed by Little Rock architects Mann and Stern and constructed under the supervision of owner Sam Fordyce's son, John. The building eventually cost over $212,000 to build, equip, and furnish. Totaling approximately 28,000 square feet, the Fordyce is the largest bathhouse on the row. It has 3 main floors, 2 courtyards, and a basement under most of the building. The Fordyce became the first bathhouse on the row to go out of business when it suspended operations on June 30th, 1962, but it was extensively restored by 1989 and is now enjoying a renaissance as a historically furnished museum, end quote.
So self-guided tours of this old bathhouse, which is now a museum, were available, and we did do them, and we highly recommend it.
Absolutely.
This is one of the great ways to engage with Hot Springs National Park.
Absolutely.
Is like going to this museum. I would even probably recommend doing it in the opposite direction that we did and explore this museum first and then go over to Buckstaff, or the next day or whatever, later that day.
Yeah.
So the first floor here at the museum were all of the bathing rooms, and there was a lot of stained glass windows and tubs and hydrotherapy showers and steam chambers. We saw the sitz baths here. There was a DeSoto statue of colonization. There was a huge giant stained glass
in the ceiling,
sort of above. I mean, it's like, it was beautiful. It was like of this giant mermaid
who was very amorous.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
so there were photos on the wall of suspected sisters of the past.
Correct.
Yeah.
People who definitely looked like they shared a kindred softness.
Exactly.
As we say. It felt totally reminiscent of the bathing experience we had just had at Buckstaff.
Yeah.
So then we went to the basement. There is an operational elevator that will take you there. We just took the stairs.
But there was also an exhibit in the basement that showed how that elevator operated. This is where the water heaters were. So you were able to kind of see through like plexi what was happening here.
There were some exhibit placards about the science of hot springs. Here it was that we learned that the water that actually came to the surface of the earth today, that we would, if we went outside to the fountain and got some water, that water actually fell as rain here in this area during the time of the pyramids in Giza being constructed.
Yeah, which was wild.
Isn't that wild?
Mind-blowing facts.
That long ago, that water fell as rain. Same water molecules here, and now they've come back through the hot springs.
Yes.
To us.
Yeah.
Wild.
To wash us.
Or to
sustain us.
In many ways.
Yeah.
So now we move to the second floor.
This is where we see the locker rooms on both sides. This was the locker rooms were all wood paneled. This was it felt like, not that I've ever had the experience of being in a country club, but this felt very ritzy, kind of country club-esque, mahogany wood kind of feeling.
It's funny that you know what country clubs look
from
and
movies.
Feel like, and yet you've never been in one. Fascinating.
From the movies.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Now's a dig about privilege somewhere. Here you can see the men's and women's courtyards for nude bathing.
Back on the first floor, there was a very, very 1980s film about the hot springs. And we did go watch it. And that there was pan flute here. Without a doubt.
Pam flute.
Pam flute.
Pam
we
flute.
need to add her to the list.
Constance Bidet and Pat Dry. They've all shown up.
Well, Pam
they're
flute,
a band.
Pam flute is playing a pan flute while they
are
doing their spoken word pieces. That's right. This was a great museum, and we highly recommend doing it.
Yeah.
It's a great way to engage and understand sort of why preserving this place is so important.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
there's a lot of history and a lot of reasons why people showed up and came to the hot springs.
Yeah.
Mostly because they believed it to be a medicinal healing experience. And so people would come from all over. I remember my great-grandmother even used to go there, though we were in South Mississippi, so it wasn't that long of a journey, but there were people who would come from all over the world to go there.
Yeah.
So then we went to what is probably our favorite stop in Hot Springs National Park, which is
Superior Bathhouse Brewing.
Superior Bathhouse Brewing, which is the brewery.
It's the only brewery within a national park.
And here's the deal, y'all. There's no sponsorship happening
No.
with Superior Bathhouse Brewing. We're talking about them because we just genuinely love them. And we went here twice because we were like, no, let's just go back to Superior. That was great. We don't need to go to another place to eat.
Yeah.
It's a brewery that also has great food. This time we went in on some burgers this time.
And flights.
And it was great. So something that we were curious about, right, when we were traveling down to Arkansas was we were like, I wonder what it's going to be like for queer folks here in this area, or like where do the queer folks gather, or like are there queer spaces? Well, we walked into Superior Bathhouse Brewery and ta-da, this is absolutely a queer space.
Absolutely.
It is queer owned. It is owned and operated by queer women. It was a fabulous experience all around.
From Superior Bathhouse Brewery's website, quote, built in 1916, the Superior operated as the bathhouse in downtown Hot Springs National Park, Arkansas, until its closure in 1983. After lying vacant for 30 years, current owner Rose Schweikart reimagined the Superior Bathhouse into a craft brewery with a full-service, family-friendly restaurant, end quote.
I would agree with all of that.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
The staff here was wonderful.
Yeah.
They were great people. And the merch.
The merch game was your favorite
merch. They had incredible merch.
The merch.
I'm serious though.
It's true.
I don't usually I'm never
No, start that sentence over.
I buy merch all the time. I will say that. I do.
It's true.
But what I was going to say
Not
is
me,
I don't
though.
tend to buy sweatshirts because those tend to be very expensive. But I found one that was so cute there, and I definitely got it.
You caved.
I did because I had to.
You did.
I did. And they were so sweet because I think we gave them some stickers
We
of
did.
ours, and then they gave us some stickers they had made for Pride the previous year.
Yes. It was a great way to end our journey that day of luxuriating, just getting it in one more time, so in case you weren't sure, that's what we did. We did. We loved it all.
All right, everybody. So there's no Karen Stone today because
this was just experience.
This was just a bathhouse experience.
Nope. Take two.
This was a Buckstaff Bathhouse experience in Hot Springs National Park.
The giggle episode.
All right, Mike. Why don't you get us started?
Great. My Jeopardy is titled Bucks, 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 and it's all about slang words for money.
Oh, okay.
That's my inspiration point was
Great.
Buckstaff. So you're just going to give me the slang based off of the clue.
I'm ready.
Okay. For 100, this slang for money may confuse those who are just looking for this leafy green to serve with their corned beef.
What is hash?
Incorrect.
What is chard?
No. Corned
What-
beef and it's another C word.
Girl, I don't know.
What is cabbage? Corned beef and cabbage.
Oh, cabbage.
Yeah.
Cash is also known as cabbage.
Mhm.
All right. Buckle up, everybody. All right, great.
For 200, The Key of Tiny Dancer by Elton John, Let It Be by the Beatles, and Dreams by Fleetwood Mac could help to describe this slang for a $100 bill, which refers to its Roman numeral. All those songs are in that key as well.
I understand. You said for $100?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what is C major? What is C minor?
What is a C note?
Oh, what is a C note? Okay,
Yes.
so C note isn't a key, but okay.
Yeah, okay.
I'll take that.
All right.
Okay. C major's a key. C minor's
They
a
are
key.
C major. You're correct about that, though. Oh, I swear we're doing fine over here.
Great.
Okay, for 300, this slang for money sounds like what you might get if while playing Super Mario, you smashed a few blocks or jumped on an enemy or two.
What is mushroom? What is level up? What is coins?
Coin. What is coin?
What is coin?
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
great. I got there.
For 400, this slang for money is also what Jean Valjean stole in order to land himself in hard labor for all those years.
What is dough? What is
Well, he didn't steal dough. What did he actually steal? What does dough become?
he stole bread.
Yeah.
So bread is
Yes.
also known as cash?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Come
I've
on.
never heard of that.
Yeah.
No, I've heard dough.
Yeah, dough. But dough, he didn't steal dough. He stole already made bread.
Right. But you also said
24601.
You also said that C note was
Yeah,
the key.
okay,
So
whatever.
I was like, maybe that's the logic we're going with
Okay,
here.
and for 500, this is where I get Mike's getting criticized for Jeopardy. This slang for cash sounds like something you would use to catch a mouse, but let's get specific about it.
What is cheese?
Be more specific.
What is a trap? What is Swiss cheese? You said be specific
Yes,
about cheese.
I did. It's cheddar, damn it. This was a bad Jeopardy category. I'm sorry, everybody.
The cheese that is always used in a mousetrap in films, it has holes in it, and only Swiss has holes in it. Or Jarlsberg.
Great.
Okay,
I suck,
great.
thanks.
Why don't I wear a sign that says too ugly to
Yeah,
live?
Jesus Christ. Fucking all over the place.
Okay, great. That was the category.
No. It was a category that you were terrible
Oh,
at.
God. Okay, great. Are you ready for my
To be
category?
criticized some more, yeah.
My category is called The Bathhouse in Queer History. Okay, so not sure if y'all know, bathhouses are a thing. They're still a thing in the queer culture, particularly that of gay men. But back in the day, they were one of the only gathering places where queer people could actually gather together safely. And so there was quite a lot of history that happened in and around the bathhouse. This is a category about that. So for 100, while a certain colonizer was sailing the ocean blue, the first gay bathhouse dates back to 1492 in this city, where one might see The Two Cherubs by Raphael or The David by Michelangelo.
What is Florence?
That is correct. Okay, and for 200. At around the exact same time, this Catholic female royal in Spain closed all public baths to stop public homosexual activity. This same female royal who most definitely wasn't having an affair with aforementioned colonizer.
Who is Queen Isabella of Spain?
That's right. That's right. So now we're moving on to 300. This Hollywood movie star, films like Giant, was a staple visitor to the Fire Island Pines of New York. Also frequented bathhouses in Manhattan with the likes of Truman Capote.
Who's Rock Hudson?
That's right. For 400. Before playing iconic characters like Cece Bloom and Brenda, this iconic diva made a name for herself singing at New York bathhouses and even earned herself the nickname Bathhouse Betty.
Just take my gay card. I don't know.
I am going to take it for this one. Who is Bette Midler?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Cece Bloom from what movie? Beaches, girl. Okay. Okay.
I know that it's sad.
Okay, we're going to have to fill in some gaps for you. We all got gaps to fill in.
Yep, just like your knowledge of slang for money.
That's I have some gaps to fill in. That's right. I will
And the
get
gaps
you a
in your
C
teeth.
major later.
Yeah, great.
I heard that tick at my teeth. For 500. This singer of Copacabana was also known for being a staple at New York's Continental Baths.
I don't know.
Before becoming an icon of the Las Vegas Strip.
Who's Tom Jones?
Could you imagine? No, who is Barry Manilow?
Oh, okay. Well, that wasn't that far off.
No, not at all. This has been Gaze at the National Parks, the podcast, and we're here to remind you to hike early and hike often, and that adventure is always out there.
Gaze at the National Parks was created and is hosted by us,
Dustin Ballard.
and Michael Ryan.
To see images from this episode, follow our Instagram at Gaze at the National Parks. To contact us, email us at gazeatthenationalparks@gmail.com. And to find out more about the parks visited on this show, visit our website, gazeatthenationalparks.com. And that's Gaze, Gaze.
All original artwork featured on Instagram, on our website, and in the Gaze Shop is by me, Michael Ryan.
All original music was written and performed by Dave Seaman and Mariella Klinger, with Sean Splios on guitar. This episode was edited by me, Dustin Ballard.
We would also like to acknowledge that while recording this episode that we are on the traditional and stolen lands of the Lenape people, also known as Ocean County, New Jersey.